For over half a decade, Foraging has been the most hated skill to level up by the entire Hypixel Skyblock community, but with the recent Foraging update we received the addition of the Galatea island. With so many new Foraging items added, it is hard to keep track of what items you should buy in order to maximize your Foraging profit. This is the full Foraging gear progression guide. We will talk about armors, the new axes, pets, which attribute charts you should level up, and much more. Normally I would list the price tag next to the presented item so you directly know if you can afford it or not. But since the items are still super new, prices keep changing daily. Therefore, I will not do this. Let's start in the super early game. Before you even unlock Galatea, you have to do 5 different quests, starting at the Lumberjack NPC in the hub. From those quests, you will receive a promising axe, as well as a full set of armor from the respective NPC in the park. To be honest, the promising axe is horrible, so if you have the money, buy a tree capitator from the auction house. The armor gives you a total of 24 foraging fortune. If that stat says nothing to you, don't worry. For foraging, 2 stats are relevant. Foraging Fortune as well as Sweep. Both can be inspected in your Skyblock menu when you hover over your player head. Foraging Fortune increases the amount of logs you get when you cut down a tree. Sweep increases the amount of logs you break at once, because in Skyblock you don't have to cut down every log normally. You punch the tree once and take a big chunk out of it directly. The more sweep you have, the bigger this chunk will be. We can also talk about speed, which just makes that you move from tree to tree faster. And about Foraging Wisdom. Foraging Wisdom makes that you level up your foraging skill faster. Now with the basic stuff out of the way, we finally arrive at Galatea. After you complete the starter quest, you can go to this NPC right here and buy a full set of canopy armor as well as a decent axe. If you can't afford a decent axe, just stay with the tree capitator for now. Even though we are still in the early game, we can already start to cut down trees. There are 3 types of fig trees on Galatea: small, medium and big. We only want to focus on the small ones now, as it is super important to cut down a tree all the way. And with the bigger trees and our current gear, this is simply not possible at the time. Cutting down a tree all the way is important because we will get a tree gift at the end, which includes lots of useful items and foraging XP. One of those items is the Foraging Wisdom and Sweep booster. You can combine those items to your armor, axe and equipment with an anvil. If you have the money, you can also buy a Foraging Fortune booster from the NPC over here and do the same thing. It is also recommended that you reforge your decent axe or tree capitator to double bit at the blacksmith in the hub. And here we leave the early game and arrive at the mid game with a slightly higher budget. We start with the armor, which can now be replaced by fig armor. The axe should be a fig stone splitter. All items can be purchased in the auction house. A guard potion is super essential for the speed and jump boost effect, as well as an aspect of the end to freely move around the island. We also talk about pets. If you already have a monkey, you can use that. Just keep in mind that the sweep bonus is only working in the park and not on Galatea. The pets that are really worth it in my opinion are either the epic frog, as this gives you plus 80 foraging fortune for every time you jump for 20 seconds, which on Galatea is basically all the time, or you take an epic ocelot pet, which at level 100 gives you plus 30 foraging fortune. This is only viable when leveling up your foraging skill is your primary goal before making coins. You also want to reforge your axe to Moonglade with a Moonglide gem, and enchant it with the Absorb enchantment. This is a leveling enchantment which gets better the more logs you cut down with it. We also buy 2 equipment pieces, the Mangrove Locket and the Mangrove Vine from the auction house. Something you also need to look into are attribute shards, especially those of Panpyres, Panflares, Bamboo Leaves, Panday and Bamblooms. Those can be purchased at the bazaar and increase your foraging fortune, wisdom and sweep. We slowly make our way into the late game as we now want to reforge our armor to Groovy with a mangrove gem and recombobulate it, together with our axes. We also get our 3rd equipment piece, the Mangrove Grippers. The ultimate enchantment for our axe should be First Impression. We also want to enchant our armor with Forest Pledge. You can now put citrine gemstones on your armor and axe for some bonus foraging fortune. If you want to go completely overkill, you can also buy a Jade Dragon pet, however this is super unaffordable for the majority of Skyblock players. Subscribe for future Hypixel Skyblock guides just like this one. Thank you for watching and I see you in the next one.